Everyone in the neighborhood called her Clipboard Karen, but her real name was Denise Halpern. She didn't just enforce the HOA rules, she lived for them. If your garbage bins were out 15 minutes early, you'd find a warning slip on your doorstep by morning. If your holiday lights stayed up past January 7th, Karen would personally send a violation letter, certified mail. But her obsession with order wasn't just annoying, it was invasive. And she had no idea the day she decided to snoop through my mail, she walked straight into a trap set by the federal government. My name's Elijah Park. I'm a former forensic IT specialist, recently relocated to Oak Ridge Commons, a neighborhood I thought would be a quiet place to work remotely and enjoy the little things. It took about 6 hours after I moved in for Karen to introduce herself. She wasn't exactly welcoming. Her first words were, "The HOA doesn't allow vinyl mailboxes. You'll need to replace yours." Not a hello, not a welcome to the community, just a scowl and a copy of the community bylaws highlighted in 4 colors like a crazed librarian. At first I laughed it off. Every neighborhood has one of those people, right? But I quickly learned that Karen wasn't just a stickler, she was a full-blown surveillance state packed into one nosy, jogger-wearing middle-aged woman. I caught her peeking through my windows one morning under the pretense of checking for improper curtain linings. She reported me for having a bird feeder too close to my fence. And then, when I began receiving government-issued encrypted mailers for a security research contract I'd been subcontracted on, her curiosity turned into something darker. She started monitoring every delivery I received. Ring doorbell footage showed her pacing by my mailbox multiple times a day. Once, I caught her squatting behind the hedges with a pair of binoculars. No joke. I laughed it off until I noticed something unsettling. One of my padded mailers had been sliced open and taped back together. Whoever did it was careful, but not careful enough for someone like me not to notice. The seal was off by a millimeter, and the return tape didn't match the official USPS adhesive. Now, these weren't just eBay purchases or Amazon orders. The packages were part of a beta test for a government-commissioned digital forensics device, a low-profile mail sensor designed to detect tampering in domestic postal chains. The irony? Karen didn't just open mail. She opened a federal prototype wrapped in tracking software and layered with anti-interference coding. And the moment she did, my alert system pinged. I immediately reported the incident to the agency's point of contact. Surprisingly, instead of pulling the plug, they proposed something unexpected. Want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes? They offered to turn my case into a real-time suburban security assessment. They've been struggling to test mail interference in civilian-controlled environments. Karen was an accidental but perfect test subject. So the next package I received was unlike any other. On the surface, it looked normal, a standard brown mailer with a fake label and tracking number. But embedded inside was a hypersensitive tamper chip, GPS nano beacon, and a chemical sealant that reacted when exposed to unfiltered air. The plan was simple. I'd leave it in the mailbox. If she touched it, the device would log it. If she opened it, the sting would activate. And of course, she took the bait. It was a Tuesday morning, right after the recycling truck had passed through. Karen was on her usual neighborhood inspection walk. I saw her pause in front of my house, phone in hand, pretending to text. But my side security cam caught it all. The quick glance over both shoulders, the sneaky lift of my mailbox lid, and then her hand darted in and snatched the package. She didn't even hesitate. She shoved it in her oversized tote and walked away like nothing happened. Within 5 minutes, my phone buzzed. The tracking alert had gone live. I called my contact. "She's got it." His response was calm but clear. "Package seal broken. We're in motion." Within the hour, unmarked vehicles started rolling into Oak Ridge Commons. No lights, no sirens, just subtle surveillance cars with tinted windows and inconspicuous antennas. I didn't see them move, but I knew they were there. Karen had no clue the entire block had become a live crime scene. Later that afternoon, Karen held one of her infamous HOA porch briefings, basically an excuse for her to lecture anyone within earshot about the latest violations. She had the gall to mention unattended packages being a security concern and warned residents to report anything suspicious looking to her directly. The hypocrisy would have been hilarious if it wasn't so wildly illegal. By 5 p.m., the trap had fully closed around her. Federal agents knocked on her door, not hard, but firm enough to silence even her yappy Pomeranian, Tater Tot. I was sitting on my porch sipping coffee as the scene unfolded like a Netflix drama. She answered the door wearing that smug, I run this neighborhood smile, until they flashed badges. I couldn't hear everything, but I saw her hands tremble as they mentioned tampering with federal property. Karen tried to laugh it off. I was just trying to make sure my neighbor wasn't receiving something dangerous. It's part of my HOA duty. But Agent Ortega, the lead on the case, didn't flinch. Ma'am, what you opened was a classified prototype. You've interfered with a federal security test and committed mail theft. We have GPS tracking, tamper logs, and full surveillance footage. Neighbors started trickling out, some pretending to water plants, others conveniently walking their dogs for the third time that day. The moment Karen was led down the steps in handcuffs, a hush fell over the block. You could practically hear the collective exhale of a neighborhood that had been terrorized for years by one woman's quest for overregulation. She didn't go quietly, though. She shrieked about conspiracies, claiming she was being set up by anarchists, and that HOA presidents had legal immunity. Agent Ortega replied, "You have no such immunity, ma'am. You're subject to the same laws as everyone else." The SUV door closed on her, wailing like a punctuation mark to an era of ridiculous neighborhood tyranny. In the days that followed, Oak Ridge Commons felt lighter. People mowed their lawns without fear of citations. Kids rode bikes without Karen yelling about helmet standards. Her absence was a gift, wrapped in federal justice. News of her arrest spread fast. A local journalist picked up the story with the headline, HOA President Arrested for Tampering with Federal Mail and Sting Operation. The article included footage from the arrest, and someone even started a meme account called @MailSnatcherKaren. It gained 30,000 followers in 2 days. Her fate? Well, legally speaking, it wasn't pretty. The charges included federal mail tampering, obstruction of a classified investigation, and unlawful surveillance. Her lawyer tried to plead her case as neighborhood concern gone too far. But the evidence was bulletproof. Between the GPS logs, thermal breach triggers, and camera footage, she didn't stand a chance. She eventually took a plea deal: 18 months probation, a $45,000 fine, and mandatory community service. Ironically, helping process mail at the local post office under supervision. She was also permanently banned from serving on any HOA board or neighborhood council in the state. As for me, I received a formal commendation from the agency for participating in what they called one of the most successful controlled breach operations in a civilian setting. I didn't do it for the recognition, though. I did it because Karen thought she was above the law. She believed that her position gave her the right to invade people's privacy, to bend rules to her will, and to cross lines that weren't hers to cross. She got away with it for years, until she opened the wrong package. It turns out, sometimes justice does arrive in the mail.